tiel weweri komwaun ane akicham Jeiso sikotoretin ya kabisa. Kikuren tiel kure murenju kombora, kikure misingetwe maywatab kasari.
Magai tiel murenanyue, magai tiel kute borto, magai tiel kimegelese, ka Jeiso sigoiste umelela mayo.
Wape makofi jameni. Wapi nduru? Wanete pamoja. Aya! Makofi jameni. Aya! Wapi makofi ya vijana? Aya! Aya! How are you?
Today, we as a country join the international community to celebrate the International Day Against Drug Trafficking. The theme for this event for this year is Listen First. Listening to our children and listening to the youth is indeed the first step for them to grow healthy, to be supported, and to make sure that they don't fall prey to merchants of alcohol and drugs. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me just to share very briefly the problem and the challenge that we face as a country, and therefore why we are all gathered here today to celebrate this important day. NACADA conducts surveys, prevalence surveys, on a regular basis after every 5 years. The last survey we conducted was in 2012. And in 2012, the prevalence of alcohol amongst our population, those aged between 15 and 65, was at 13.6%. The consumption, the prevalence of tobacco was at 9% in the general population. Vera was at 4.2%. Cannabis or bang was at 1% and heroin at 0.1% among the population, general population. Our chief, ladies and gentlemen, I want to highlight that we have a major problem amongst our youthful population that is actually the cornerstone of our development agenda and indeed our productive life. Amongst the youth between 25 and 35 years, the consumption of alcohol was at 17.6%, almost 18%. When we look at tobacco, amongst this population, the prevalence was at 10%. Miraa was at about 5-6%. Consumption of bangi was at about 2%, and heroin was steady at 0.1%. In real time, ladies and gentlemen, our chief guest, we are saying as of 2012, the population that was consuming alcohol in our country was at 4 million. Tobacco consumers stood at 2.7 million people. Miraa was at 1.2 million, and Mubuka at 200,000. Our chief guest, ladies and gentlemen, we have another challenge, particularly amongst our youth, and this is the challenge of tobacco that is imported from the Arabian Peninsula, and that is shisha, as well as from the Indian subcontinent, that is kuber. About 200,000 of our young people were hooked into chewing of kuber. May I point out that working closely with the Ministry of Health, NACADA in 2015 sampled shisha and analyzed this through the government chemist. And we found out that there were 19 different additives that were put into this that were actually very addictive. They include cocaine. They also include heroin. This is all becoming even more dangerous because even in the cakes that we celebrate with our children, birthdays and so on, we find that merchants of death, if so I must say, have made sure that this is added into these products, and that is a danger to our young people. The effects of these drugs, together with alcohol to our young people, is obvious, and we all know about this. However, I must point out that this is reflected in the poor performance in our schools. If you look at the coast region, which is most affected, the transition rate from primary to secondary to university is appalling.
And thank God we have His Excellency the Governor of Egeo Marakwet. I would humbly request the Governor of Egeo Marakwet, Alex, to talk to us. And karibu sana, Your Excellency, to Nairobi County.
Thank you. Our chief guest, I'm happy and humbled to be here today to celebrate this International Day against drug abuse and illicit trafficking. And I'm also here representing the region where I come from, that is the North Rift, and I want to appreciate the support that we've had with NACADA in that region, and also representing the Council of Governors. I want to say that I'm happy with the support that NACADA has accorded the county governments. And you've seen here today, the city county is well represented, and I believe that the fight against drug abuse and illicit trafficking will be tackled with, from all the 47 counties. And mine is to really appreciate, and on behalf of Elgeyo Marakwet people whom I represent, I want to say that since NACADA came in, we've seen a lot of changes. And I want to say that when we had issues in other counties, we always had people from Elgeyo Marakwet losing their lives. I remember one time when people lost their lives in Embu, we had people from Elgeyo Marakwet suffering, and even some of them lost their lives. And that's why, as the governor of that region, I've come out strongly and worked with NACADA and all other agencies who are fighting drug abuse. I just want to say that in Elgeyo Marakwet, things might be different from what you have in Nairobi, because mainly what we are fighting in that area is illicit brews and maybe some few drugs in our institutions and schools. And I believe that for us working together and ensuring that we fight these drugs, we are going to secure our future. And I'm standing here today as the youngest governor of this nation, and I know the biggest consumers of these drugs are the youth. And we want to come out in large numbers. I'm not seeing a lot of youth here today, but I'm happy that in other forums where we've been talking about drug abuse, we've had enough representative of youth. But I want to say that the fight will not stop here today, but in these celebrations, but we are going back home and work hard and ensure that we fight drugs and any other form of misuse that is done by our youth. Mimi nataka kushukuru sana bodi ya NACADA kwa sababu hao waliamua kufanya kazi na county.
Elgeyo Marakwet, or the governor of Elgeyo Marakwet, Alex Tolgos Tanui, who as a board of NACADA and as a ministry, we really have a lot of respect for, because of the efforts he has put in the control of illicit brew and drugs.
Patie nyinyi background yake kwa sababu yuko hapa. His Excellency Alex Tanui Tolgos, he by profession is a mechanical engineer na ameweka strategies kali sana ambaye imesaidia watu sana. Kwa sababu kina mama wanasema ukiniambia niache kutengeneza pombe, watoto wangu wataendaje university, wataendaje skuli. Tukisema ukweli, kuna wengi sana ambaye watoto na chakula na kila kitu inatoka kuuza hiyo. Lakini huyu governor ambaye tutamsimamisha ameemploy strategy ya supply suppression by supporting enforcement efforts through joint inspections and raid, likewise facilitating the enforcement team. Na sio watu wake peke yake amepatia, he goes to the grounds. Kule sisi tulienda kama NACADA kuangalia kina mama ni nini mumefanya as an alternative, alikuwako. Na saa ile kina mama wanatuambia sasa hata nimejua kuchona nini na nini, governor alikuwako. Ya pili amewapatia alternative source of livelihood for reform brewers, training, empowerment program, training and handing over project to reform brewers. Ana reform wao, anahakikisha wameshajua kufanya hiyo kazi, alafu ana hand over. Achievements so far ambaye amepata: building very strong partnerships with NACADA, national government and other key players, key stakeholders in the field, including the community members. Despite being a governor, hakusema this is a devolved function, kwa hivyo sihitaji, unahitaji security. Kwa hivyo amewalk pamoja na national government. Rehabilitated 1,200 brewers and handed over projects including poultry farming, dairy farming, posho mills, value addition to farm produce, agricultural farming and farming input. Amefanya hizo, it's not a story. Ya tatu, construction of a treatment and rehabilitation facility at Iten, a project and implementation in collaboration with NACADA, na mtaona tutafanya hivi in the next year as a board. Tumesema ya kwamba Mungu akitujalia, in the next year our intention is to make sure, kwa sababu ya constraint of finances, tutajaribu kujenga maybe 10 rehabilitation center mpaka to cover the entire country. Construction of establishing a directorate in charge of alcohol control katika county yake. Establishment of an alcoholic drinks control fund, amefanya hivyo. having a functional county interagency technical committee which has resulted in the suppression of illicit brews and second generation alcohol, na kuinvolve kila mtu ana feel that this is my work, sio ya mtu mwingine. Challenges ambaye amesha face, hakuna pahali ambaye utakuta barabara ikiwa nywe, lazima tukue na challenges. Face challenges ya limited resources to address the huge need of rehabilitation of brewers and funding of alternative sources of livelihood and empowerment programs. Ya pili, need for government focus in rehabilitating professionals, majority of whom have progressed to addiction. Na ya tatu, enforcement officers to be supported in terms of adequate resources. Kama NACADA tumesikia hiyo, kwa hivyo tunaomba governor wetu asimame, His Excellency Tolgos, ndio apate kurecogniziwa.
Let me begin by thanking NACADA for inviting me to come and join you here today to attend this year's International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking. Secondly, and most importantly, I wish to sincerely appreciate the honor with which you have bestowed upon me this special recognition as a champion on alcohol and drug abuse. This is indeed a huge encouragement and endorsement of our efforts down in Elgeyo Marakwet County in our bid to free our people from yoke of alcoholism. I thank NACADA through your CEO, Dr. Okedi, the chairman, John Mututo, and the board for the support they've accorded me and my county since 2013 when we began this unpopular journey to fight the scourge. You gave us undivided support, which has today yielded remarkable success. When I declared alcoholism and drug abuse a disaster in my county and went on to launch a serious campaign against it, many thought I had signed my political death sentence. But I'm here today as a testimony to the fact that when you bite the bullet on matters of importance to humanity, the fight is clearly worth it. I stand before you today as I waited the political onslaught and the personalized attacks which I faced 3 years ago. Today, the story is that of an happy ending. We have been able to rehabilitate hundreds of people who were lost in alcoholism, and particularly women brewers of illicit alcohol who were responsible for the high consumption of these brews in my county. We have restored dignity to those women by starting meaningful income-generating activities for them. This initiative is ongoing, targeting both brewers and the consumers until we conclusively win this fight. I wish to thank the provincial administration through our county commissioner who is present here today, and the administration in Elgeyo Marakwet for the support they gave me when I launched the crackdown on illicit brew, and Empowering Life International, an NGO based in Eldoret, for its willingness to partner with us in rehabilitating the women brewers. We would not have done this alone. Let me further extend my sincere gratitude to NACADA for agreeing to finance the establishment of a rehabilitation center in Iten, which will go a long way in assisting those transiting from addiction to sobriety. In collaboration, the collaboration between my county and NACADA is approved a multi-sectoral approach in this menace of alcoholism and drug abuse in Kenya is the way to go. I also want to thank our President, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, for his boldness in leading a countrywide crackdown on second-generation liquor. Such are the decisions that we will firmly address our societal problems as a nation. Thank you once again for this award, and my appeal is for us to continue this fight against alcohol and drug abuse. By joining hands, we will win this war faster. Thank you and God bless you.